Welcome back to TPS. Every team has had a handful of franchise-changing players. These guys made the number on the back of their jerseys all the more famous and iconic in their respective cities. So, what's the most famous and iconic jersey number in your favorite NFL team's history? Let's dive right into it.
At TPS, we post videos every single day, so don't forget to click the subscribe button to subscribe. Then click the notification bell to be notified when we post a new video.
Arizona Cardinals, number 40. This number is retired in honor of the late Pat Tillman, the former standout safety who left football in order to join the Army following the 9/11 attacks. The ultimate American hero was killed in action in April 2004 while serving in Afghanistan. Bobby Joe Conrad, a former Pro Bowl wideout for the Cardinals, also wore the number 40, as did Robert Massey, who played 3 seasons for the Cards, earning a Pro Bowl selection in 1992. Atlanta Falcons, number 11. The Falcons are one of the 3 teams who don't retire jersey numbers. On the bright side, that's paved the way for many Falcon stars to make their number 11 famous in Georgia. Julio Jones, the best wide receiver of this era, became the 6th player in the Falcons' history to wear the number. Randy Johnson, Atlanta's quarterback from 1966 to 70, and former Michael Vick understudy Doug Johnson also wore number 11. We would not be surprised if Julio wound up being the final Falcon to wear this number, though. Baltimore Ravens, 52. The young NFL franchise has been home of many Hall of Famers, but there's no questioning that the number 52 stands out as the most iconic in Ravens history. That's because Ray Lewis, the greatest Raven of all time, wore this number throughout his entire career. Lewis led the Ravens to a pair of Super Bowl championships, and he won 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards. That number 52 in Baltimore became more popular for nearly 2 decades. No other Raven is going to wear this jersey again. Buffalo Bills, 12. A trio of quarterbacks have made the number 12 iconic in Buffalo. It started with Darryl LaMonica, who played for the Bills from 1963 to 66. He was part of a Buffalo team that won 2 AFL championships in 64 and 65. Joe Ferguson was the Buffalo Bills starting quarterback from 73 to 84. He's in the club's Wall of Fame, and Ferguson led the league in passing yards during the 1977 season. And then there's Jim Kelly, the greatest QB in Bills history. He earned 5 Pro Bowl selections and led the team to 4 straight Super Bowl appearances in the 90s. The Bills retired number 12 in honor of Kelly, but don't forget about LaMonica and Ferguson. Carolina Panthers, number 1. Only Sam Mills, number 51, is retired by the Panthers, but 2015 League MVP Cam Newton is making the number 1 the most recognizable jersey number for the franchise. Newton became the first Panther to wear the number 1, and he'll most certainly be the last. The dual-threat quarterback led Carolina to a Super Bowl 50 appearance. He's on his way to the Hall of Fame. Chicago Bears, 34. The Bears have retired 14 numbers throughout their century-long history. If this keeps up, they'll have to start wearing triple-digit numbers. It's practically impossible to determine the most famous number in Bears history, but we're going with number 34 here. Pro Bowl fullback Joe Marconi, who played 5 seasons with the Bears, donned 34. And then there's Walter Payton, perhaps the greatest Bear of them all. He also wore 34. The 9-time Pro Bowler helped the Bears win Super Bowl 20. He's also enshrined in Canton. You still see Payton jerseys all over Soldier Field over 30 years after his playing career and 2 decades after his untimely passing. So we're going to consider 34 the Bears' most famous number. Cincinnati Bengals, 14. Bob Johnson's 54 is the only retired number in Bengals history. But thanks to a pair of Pro Bowl quarterbacks, 14 is probably the most recognized uniform number in Cincy. Ken Anderson wore the number for the Bengals, where he played from 71 to 86. The 4-time Pro Bowler won the 1981 NFL MVP award and led the Bengals to a Super Bowl 16 appearance, where they fell to the San Francisco 49ers. Surprisingly, the Bengals never retired Anderson's number, so Pro Bowl QB Andy Dalton stepped in and assumed the number 14. And before those two, Sam Wyche, who coached the Bengals to a Super Bowl 23 appearance, wore number 14 for the franchise as their quarterback from 68 to 70. Cleveland Browns, 32. Not only is Brown the greatest running back of all time, but some regard him as the greatest player ever, period. The 8-time rushing leader led the Browns to a 64 NFL championship. Jim Brown was the Cleveland Browns, and he wore the number 32. And, well, no offense, but the Browns were like the worst team in football for decades after Brown's retirement. So obviously nobody was able to make a number more famous in Cleveland than Brown's 32. Dallas Cowboys, 88. The Cowboys haven't retired any numbers, but they do have a ring of honor. 3 of the greatest wide receivers in franchise history have all worn 88. Started with Drew Pearson, who played with the Cowboys from 73 to 83. The 3-time Pro Bowler won Super Bowl 12 with the Cowboys. Boy, oh boy, did he and Roger Staubach ever come through in the clutch time and time again. After Pearson, Hall of Famer Michael Irvin, who was part of the triplets alongside Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith, donned the 2 8s. Irvin was part of 3 Super Bowl championship teams for Dallas in the 90s. Over a decade later, three-time Pro Bowl wideout Dez Bryant wore 88 in his 8 seasons in Big D. Denver Broncos 7. 3 Broncos wore number 7 before the franchise GOAT John Elway took it over in 1983. Quarterback Craig Morton, who played for the Broncos from 77 to 82, wore the lucky number. From 1963 to 66, Mickey Slaughter, Denver's quarterback at the time, donned the 7. But Elway, being the greatest player in franchise history and all, is the reason why the Broncos retired 7, led the franchise to a pair of Super Bowls, and holds practically every Broncos QB record. Detroit Lions 20. 8 players have worn 20 for the Lion. Barry Sanders obviously made the number more legendary in Motown, but he wasn't the only standout player for the organization to wear 20. 7-time Pro Bowler and Hall of Fame cornerback Lem Barney wore 20 throughout his career with the Lions. So did former running back Billy Sims, who had a trio of 1,000-yard seasons in his career. But it was Sanders who ensured no Lion would wear number 20 again. One of the flashiest running backs ever, Sanders won 4 rushing titles, 2 Offensive Player of the Year awards, and was named co-MVP with Brett Favre in 1997. Green Bay Packers number 12. The Packers have retired 6 numbers, but Aaron Rodgers is making his case as the greatest player in franchise history, is only adding more history to the 1-2. Rodgers has worn the number since he entered the NFL in 2005. Before Rodgers, former quarterback Zeke Brakowski, part of 2 Super Bowl championship teams in Green Bay, donned 12. After Zeke, QB Lynn Dickey wore the number 12. He spent 9 seasons with the Packers, starting out as number 10 before switching to 12 in 1980. But make no mistake, Rodgers is the key reason why we put 12 here. Houston Texans 99. Andre Johnson will be the first Houston Texan to go to the Hall of Fame, hopefully, and his number shall be retired one day. But J.J. Watt has been the NFL's best defensive player for the bulk of the 2010s. No doubt that the 3-time Defensive Player of the Year holds the honor for wearing the most famous number in Texans history. Folks, Watt jerseys are among the top-selling across the country. Indianapolis Colts number 18. You can debate all you want if Peyton Manning is truly the GOAT of all Colts, or if that honor belongs to Johnny Unitas, but it's hard to deny that the Sheriff made 18 the most popular uniform number in Colts history, considering it was his era where fan sales really began to take off compared to the Unitas era. Manning won 4 MVPs with the Colts plus a Super Bowl 41 championship. His jersey was always among the top selling during his career. Heck, even a ton of non-Colts fans around the country have themselves a Manning jersey. He was arguably the most beloved and admired player during his era. Before Manning, 9 other Colts had donned 18, but 7 of them only wore it in Indy for 1 season. Jacksonville Jaguars number 20. The Jaguars haven't retired any numbers, but there are a trio of standouts for this franchise that have worn number 20. As such, we're calling the Big 20 their greatest franchise uniform number. Former Pro Bowl running back Natrone Means played 2 seasons in Jacksonville, and he led them to the 1996 AFC Championship game. Safety Donovan Darius, who played with the Jaguars from 1998 to 2006, also wore 20. Then there's Pro Bowl corner Jalen Ramsey, who became an anchor in the Jacksonville secondary after they took him 5th overall in 2006. It's not so crazy to think that number 20 could be the first to be retired by the Jaguars. Kansas City Chiefs 15. Is it too soon? We don't think so. Patrick Mahomes took the NFL by storm in 2018 after winning the league MVP award. According to NFL Shop, Mahomes' jersey was the 3rd best selling for the 2018 season, behind only Khalil Mack and Tom Brady. At this rate, Mahomes will most certainly ensure that no other Chief wears 15 again. Mahomes became the 11th Kansas City player to wear 15. Other Chiefs who wore the number include A.J. Jenkins, Steve Breston, and Kerry Reardon. Los Angeles Chargers 21. John Hadle was the Chargers quarterback from 62 to 72. He led into a 1963 AFL championship and was a 4-time AFL All-Star. He also led the NFL in passing touchdowns during the 71 season, all while wearing the number 21. Former running back and special teams return man James Brooks also wore his number 21 in his 3 seasons with the Chargers. But why is number 21 retired by the Chargers? Oh, some guy named LaDainian Tomlinson. You know, the Hall of Famer who won the 2006 MVP after recording a single-season record of 31 touchdowns from scrimmage. LT also led the league in rushing yards twice and in rushing TDs 3 times. The Chargers knew there was no other way a player could ever wear number 21 after LT. Los Angeles Rams 28. The Rams have retired 8 numbers throughout their history, but we have to give 28 the nod here. Pro Bowler punter and special teams weapon Pat Studstill wore the number 28 during his 4 seasons with the Rams. After him, Pro Bowler corner Monty Jackson took up the number. He wore it for 3 years from 75 to 77 before joining the Oakland Raiders. Marshall Faulk would be the last Ram to wear it. He joined the team in 99 and became a huge part of their Super Bowl 34 championship season. Faulk won the 2000 MVP award and was named Offensive Player of the Year 3 times. He's also enshrined in Canton. And with that, 28 would be retired by the Rams. Miami Dolphins 13. Only 2 players in Dolphins history ever got to wear number 13 before it was retired, and both of them were absolute studs. The first was Pro Bowl defensive back Jake Scott, who won 2 Super Bowls with the Dolphins. He was also part of their perfect 1972 season, and he was named MVP of Super Bowl VII when the Dolphins capped off a perfect season. Miami could have retired number 13 for Scott, but it was too late once Dan Marino arrived in '83. He became one of the most prolific passers of all time, winning the 1984 MVP award and leading Miami to a Super Bowl appearance. Marino played his entire career with the Dolphins, retiring after the 1999 season. That was enough to ensure that no other Miami player would ever get to wear number 13 again. Minnesota Vikings 14. The Vikings have retired 6 uniform numbers in their history, but they've had many studs wear number 14, so that never gets the nod here. Former standout quarterback Brad Johnson, who spent 7 years with the Vikings, wore number 14. He went on to win Super Bowl 37 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kicker Fred Cox also wore 14 during his time with the Vikings. He won the 1969 NFL Championship with the club and appeared in 4 Super Bowls. He sure knew a thing or two about clutch field goal kicks, if you catch our drift. You can't say that about other Vikings kickers. The superstar wide receiver Stephon Diggs arrived in 2015 and wore 14. With the way he's played so far, we wouldn't be surprised if he's the last Viking to wear the number. New England Patriots 12. Tom Brady became the 6th player in Patriots franchise history to wear the number 12. Tell me if I'm wrong here, but I think 6 Super Bowls, all the major records, and a trio of MVP awards means these 2 things. Number 1, 12 will always be the most iconic and famous number in franchise history. Number 2, no other Patriot will ever wear number 12 again. This was an easy choice for us. You see Brady jerseys all over the place, even outside of New England. You'll be seeing them decades after his retirement as well. The man is a legend. New Orleans Saints 9. Drew Brees is the only greatest player in franchise history. He led the team to their first Super Bowl championship in 2009. He became the all-time passing yards leader as a member of the Saints. He's the key reason this franchise was able to turn it around in the 21st century. The best player in franchise history equals 9 being the most iconic jersey player in Saints history. Any questions? New York Giants number 56. Before Lawrence Taylor, 4 New York Giants had worn number 56. This included linebacker Pat Hughes, who had spent 7 seasons with the G-Men. But Mr. Taylor rightfully became the final Giants player to wear number 56. He's perhaps the greatest defensive player of all time. 2 Super Bowl championships, 10 Pro Bowls, and 132.5 career sacks. The Giants' easiest decision in franchise history was to retire his number. And you still see LT jerseys all over the Meadowlands. New York Jets number 24. Defensive back Johnny Sample was part of the New York Jets team that won Super Bowl III over the heavily favored Baltimore Colts. Of course, he wasn't the only notable Jets player to don 24. Star running back Freeman McNeil, who played his entire career with the Jets from 81 to 92, also wore 24. Of course, it's Darrelle Revis who made this number legendary in Jets land. The best corner of his era earned 7 Pro Bowl selections and won Super Bowl 49 with the New England Patriots. Revis then came back to play 2 more years, further adding to the legend of number 24 for this organization. Oakland Raiders number 12. The Raiders haven't retired a single uniform, but 2 of the most dominant players in franchise history made the number 12 recognizable on the West Coast. Ken Stabler, a Hall of Famer and 1974 MVP, who led the Raiders to a Super Bowl XI championship, donned this number. 4-time Pro Bowler and 2002 League MVP Rich Gannon also wore number 12, who led the Raiders to a Super Bowl 37 appearance. Wide receivers such as Darius Hayward-Bay and Martavius Bryant have also worn the number 12 for the Raiders as well. Philadelphia Eagles number 9. Donovan McNabb became the 9th Eagle to have his number retired in 2013. With so many great numbers to choose from, we ultimately decided to roll with 9. Why? Because the Eagles have had many great players wear this number. This includes stud cornerback Jim Nettles, who played with the team from 1965 to 68. Quarterbacks Rodney Peete and Jeff Garcia also wore number 9. So did Super Bowl 52 MVP Nick Foles, and the same with 5-time Pro Bowler and Hall of Famer Sonny Jorgensen. Pittsburgh Steelers number 75. Despite all the franchise legends and Hall of Famers, the Steelers have only retired 2 numbers. Ernie Stautner's 70 and Mean Joe Green's 75. Before Green, Pro Bowl defensive tackle Joe Krupa wore the number 75. In his rookie season, 1969, Green wore 72. He made the switch a year later and emerged as the face of the Steelers, leading them to 4 Super Bowls in the 70s. Green earned 10 Pro Bowl selections and is enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Did we mention that he's one of only 2 Steelers to have their numbers retired? San Francisco 49ers number 80. All these retired numbers, so many popular ones. Who do you take? Joe Montana's 16, Ronnie Lott's 42, Steve Young's 8. We just had to roll with Jerry Rice's number 80 here. Rice is the most dominant player in NFL history. He won 3 Super Bowls with the 49ers, and even though he last played for the franchise in 2000, You're still seeing Rice's 49ers jerseys all over the map. Before Rice, Pro Bowl defensive back Jerry Mertens and defensive lineman Stan Hindman wore number 80 as well. Seattle Seahawks number 3. So many great players have suited up for the Seattle Seahawks in recent years, but with Marshawn Lynch and the 3 Legion of Boom players long gone, we had to sell on Russell Wilson, who's poised to finish his career with the Seahawks. Wilson, who helped the Seahawks win Super Bowl 48, went from a game manager to one of the game's most prolific passers. He's among the top passing yards and passing TD leaders every year. That number 3 will be so retired one day. Before Wilson, Mick Myrer, Seattle starter from 93 to 96, wore the lucky number 3. But Wilson, of course, is the only reason why the Seahawks number 3 is so popular today. Tampa Bay Buccaneers 55. 2 words, Derek Brooks. He's the greatest Buccaneer of all time, so it's only fair that we place his number 55 here. He was part of the legendary 2000 Buccaneers team that won Super Bowl 37. Brooks, an 11-time Pro Bowler and Hall of Famer, also won the 2002 Defensive Player of the Year award. Brooks became the 3rd Buccaneer to have his number retired, after Leroy Selman and Warren Sapp, and the franchise went on to endure an embarrassing decade following Brooks' retirement, so, there wasn't a jersey number that overtook 55 in terms of fame and popularity in the organization. Tennessee Titans 74. Former Pro Bowl offensive guard Leon Gray spent 3 seasons with the Houston Oilers. 2 years after Gray played his final season at Houston, Bruce Matthews assumed the responsibilities of wearing number 74. Matthews spent his entire season with the Oilers Titans franchise. Part of the legendary Matthews family, Bruce, one of the greatest offensive linemen ever, was a 14-time Pro Bowler, and he earned 9 first-team All-Pro selections. The Hall of Famer had his number 74 retired by the Titans, and rightfully so. Washington Redskins number 7. Sammy Ball's 33 is the only retired jersey in Redskins history. Because he last played in 1952, you don't see many of his jerseys around in the nation's capital anymore. Even though his number is not retired, Joe Theismann made 7 famous in D.C. He won the 1983 NFL MVP award and led the Redskins to a Super Bowl championship. If only a gruesome leg fracture didn't end his career early, Theismann could have gone on to the Hall of Fame, and he likely would have done more to get that number 7 retired. And in a kind gesture, Theismann let Dwayne Haskins, the team's first-round pick in 2019, wear the number 7. We'll see if Haskins can make it even more legendary in D.C. What number do you think is the most famous in your favorite team's history? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you're not subscribed yet, now's a great time to do that. If you liked the video, then like the video, and we'll see you guys for more cool videos here on TPS.